Hello, it's week 16 of season 5 of the Andy Griffith Show. This week's episode title is Barney, Fife, Realtor. Barney, I get into the real estate business, and Andy wants to know how that got started. And I say, Mr. Schlunner, got me thinking about it after I ran into him down at the diner. I said, here's old man Schlunner. Sits in his office all day long, smoking a big fat cigar, and he doesn't stir unless somebody wants to buy something. And then he takes them out in that old rattle-trap car of his, and if they die, he collects 5%. Now, has he got it made, or has he got it made? And I tell Andy I've already got 2 deals cooking. I say that I found out that 9 of 10 people are not completely satisfied with their house, and they would sell it if you just give them a nudge. And then you tell Andy you could sell his house and get him into the Williams house for only $3,500. This is a house that Andy's always admired. And your plan involves 3 families selling and moving and taking each other's houses. And Andy looks like he's thinking about it for a while, but then he says we've got to get back to sheriffing work. And I assure him that this will be an after-hours thing only. And then Andy goes home, and he sees Opie trying to sell his bicycle to another boy. And they're already starting to talk about a price of $5, so Andy points out all the things wrong with the bike, and he tells Opie he should have told the boy all of this stuff already, even though the boy hadn't asked. Otherwise, it's not quite honest. So the boy loses interest in buying it. And then at the supper table, Opie gripes at his dad that his dad ruined the bicycle sale. And then Opie goes and gets a glass of water in the kitchen and has trouble because the house's plumbing system has such problems and makes a terrible noise. And then Andy tells Aunt Bee about the idea that you had, and Aunt Bee seems interested. And Opie asks whether they're going to move, and Andy says, no, we're just talking. And that night I bring over a couple who might want to buy Andy's house. And Andy and Aunt Bee say now is not a good time, come by later. And I say no. Now I've been telling them about the house, and I've got them worked up to a fever pitch. We can't let them cool off now. This might be it. So Andy and Aunt Bee take a minute to pick some stuff up, and then I bring the couple in. And they can see that the living room could use some work, so I take them into the kitchen. And Opie starts talking about a crack in the ceiling that his dad had to paint over. So I say, boy, look at these windows. The sun comes right in through there in the daytime, and these are great floors. This linoleum's only been down a couple of years. Isn't that right, Mr. Taylor? And then Opie tells him about the plumbing problem, and then about the roof leaks. And then so the couple loses interest in the house and leaves. And then you leave. So Andy accuses Opie of getting decadent because Andy ruined Opie's bicycle sale, and now Opie has ruined the house sale. But Opie says he was just being honest like his pa told him he should be. And Andy says that was a bicycle. This is a house. Folks cover up problems in house sales all the time. And Opie says, oh, so kids are supposed to be honest, but grown-ups don't have to be? And Andy doesn't have a good answer for that. And the next morning, I'm mad at Andy. I say, you know what that boy of yours cost me? Well, I'll tell you to the penny what he cost me. $3,478. He lost me the commission on 3 house sales. But then Mr. Sims calls to return the message I left for him, and I convince him to meet me at 7 o'clock that night. I'm going to try to get them interested in Andy's house again. So they come again to see the place, and Barney tells him Opie was just exaggerating about the house problems before. But Andy says no, everything the boy said was true. The house has got problems, and that makes Opie real proud of his pa. But the Sims say they still want to buy the house regardless. But Andy says he can't decide until he looks at the Williams house. And I say, Andy, why don't you and Aunt Bee just run over there and have a look at it? It's still early. I'll stay here with the Sims. But over at the Wilsons' house, their son discloses that their basement gets water in it, and that their furnace is cracked and needs replacing. So they all decide that everybody needs to just stay where they are and deal with their own house problems. And Andy calls me from there to tell me, and I don't like it. And the next day in the courthouse, I tell Andy that I'm out of the real estate business and I'm in the car business now. I say I can get you a 1961 convertible hardtop at a fantastic price. But by the time I finish reading the description, Andy has walked away. We'll see you next week for episode 17.